So, good morning, all our listeners today. Uh, it's a wonderful Monday, I must admit. I'm a little bit tired, but amidst everything, I would like to say good morning to our guest speaker, although she's no stranger to our program. Good morning, Fadia.
Good morning. Good morning, Louisa. Good morning, St. Lucia.
So, this morning,
It's a wonderful Monday.
we have
Can
an
you hear me?
interesting topic. A very, very interesting topic. I think most ladies would be very happy to hear about that topic. Again, ladies are mostly concerned as it relates to their weight and so on. And even our men too. So this morning, I'm so happy that I could have Mrs. Campbell on board, and she will introduce herself. She'll give her topic, and as time goes by, I will engage her in conversation. So, Mrs. Campbell, I know we're starting a little bit late, so you can go right ahead.
Okay, so thank you very much, Louisa, and good morning again. Good morning, those of you who are listening. And my name is Fadia Campbell, nutritionist by profession. I work within the Ministry of Health, Wellness, and Nutrition. And it is always a pleasure to be on the program to provide information to the general population. As Louisa alluded to, we are discussing a very important topic, and that has to do with obesity. And on March 4th, every year around on March 4th, the world observes obesity. And we know that it is a very important topic. And I just hope that we'll be able to delve into the topic and to discuss as much as possible. All right. So first of all, I just want to start by establishing the theme for World Obesity Day, which is on the 4th of March. That is on Wednesday this week. And the theme is quite interesting. It says 8 billion reasons to act on obesity. And this theme is centered on the idea that every single person on the planet, all the 8 billion of us, has a role in addressing the global obesity challenge, and that collective action is needed to change the story of obesity worldwide. So, obesity affects every one of us, everybody. It's a global problem. All right. So, everyone is affected, like I said. So, the campaign, it emphasizes that obesity doesn't just affect individuals, but it affects societies. All right. And about half of the global population may be living with overweight or obesity. All right. You say we also looking at focusing on systems. All right. And when we speak of systems, we speak of the environment, we're speaking of healthcare access, we're speaking of education, we're speaking of stigma, we're speaking of economic conditions, we're speaking of community designs. You know, there are so many other facets that are associated with obesity. Are you all hearing me?
Yes, I am. I am hearing you.
Right. So there are different facets that are associated with obesity because sometimes some persons, when okay, somebody is overweight or obese, they might tend to directly stigmatize the person or say this person is eating too much, this person is too greedy, and so on. But there may be other factors that might be rooted in the person's being overweight or obese.
So,
Be-
Mrs. Campbell, Fadia, one of the
yes.
things, I mean, in speaking about the stigma,
Mm-hmm.
know that is something that really plague some of us, especially health professionals. As health professionals, we tend to speak about being overweight, being you know, and you tell people what to do, but when you look at yourself, as many of our health professionals, including moi, I mean, you see them, so you tell people to lose weight. You tell people to, you need to maintain a healthy weight, a healthy lifestyle. But when you go out there and you're speaking to somebody and telling somebody, you need to maintain that level of weight, and then the person is looking at you and like, oh my goodness. So I think it really starts with us.
Yes,
It really does.
definitely. And it does. It does. And that is so important, Louisa. You, as the health practitioner, you want to counsel a patient on overweight and obese and try to help them with their weight journey, their weight loss journey. But you, as the health professional, you need to lose weight yourself. You are obese yourself. So, how do we deal with that problem? So that is why we have to be the models. We have to be the examples. We have to practice what we preach. You understand? And that is very, very important, because if I am bringing a message to you of, trying to lose weight, and I myself, you think the client is going to receive it? I doubt that very much. So we have to try our best as health practitioners to be the example, to practice what we preach. So yeah, so sometimes there is that stigma that is attached to it, and of course, persons are looking at us as health practitioners to follow
Very
suit.
much so, because when I say to people, first thing they do, they watch me from head to toe, as if gets a
Yes,
big lady, you know. So, but then, and the reality is the struggles, and
yes,
to really start that behavioral change
mhm,
when it
mhm.
comes to your habits, your practices,
This is
so that it can
yes.
help you lose the weight, is one of
Mhm.
the areas I find a lot of people have issues with, including myself.
Yes, yes. So that is why that it is important. Consistency is important. Discipline is important. Even before you speak about what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, you see the other aspects like being consistent,
Mhm.
discipline in yourself, um, you have a stick to it attitude, you are motivated. These things are so, so very important. And your mindset as well, that is even more important than the actual behavior change in terms of seeing what to eat, not what not to eat, etc. If I am to say, just on the weekend I met a gentleman, and I saw him and I told him, wow, you are losing the weight so nicely, you know? And he was like, it is just what I have cut out of my diet. So sometimes it's just a matter of cutting out certain things out of your diet, and you will see the change. Yes, he said that weight loss that I have experienced is the things, the excess sugar, the excess sodium, the excess fat, and he went on. I do not eat late in the night, and I can see the man is just slimming down so nicely. It is just the things that he has cut out and some of the habits. So sometimes some of the unhealthy habits we just need to do away, cheaper way, cheaper way, cheaper way, until we have gotten a hold of it, and we are on top of our game. Yes.
It's a gradual process, because
Yes, it is a gradual process. Yes, yes.
sometimes I see the clothes is loose on me, but the
Mhm.
scale tells me differently. So I am wondering what is going on. And that
Yes,
happens to a lot of people. And
yes,
so sometimes it tends to kind of discourage you in a way. And that is one of the things that we need to face the challenges. One of the
Yes.
challenges, these are one of the challenges that you get in trying to lose the weight to combat obesity. But how
Yes.
you overcome these challenges are the most important things. What do you do in that
Mhm.
instance? Yeah.
Definitely, definitely, yes. So, like I was saying, going back to the theme and the many
Mm-hmm.
other tenets that are attached to them, I mean, we cannot speak about obesity without mentioning childhood obesity. I mean,
Very
childhood obesity. We put a spotlight on it. So there is a special focus on children and vulnerable communities, recognizing that childhood obesity is rising rapidly, and that early life support and prevention can influence lifelong health. So it is important also for us to put spotlight on children who are overweight and who obese, because that is eventually going to affect their health in the long run as well. We have some children, they are chubby, and people tend to have that misconception that, when they are nice and they're chubby, they are healthy. No, not
When you come
necessarily.
from a family of big bone people,
Yes, not necessarily. Yeah, it can impact their health later on in life. So there is indeed a call to action. So the message encourages awareness. Awareness. Are you aware that there is the situation? Are you overweight, obese? Do you know that? What can you do? Are you aware that this is a problem? All right. The reduction of weight stigma, better policies. So sometimes we cannot just deal with it on this little level, our one-on-one individual, but at policy level, policy maker level, making levels, we need to deal with that issue, right? You talk about equality or equitable access to care and prevention, urging individuals, urging communities and health systems and policy makers to act together. So all of us must come together to combat that issue of overweight and obesity.
that is so true.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
tend to agree with you, especially when it comes to childhood obesity, because people have the notion saying, as the children get older, they will lose the weight. But
uh-huh.
sometimes the weight at that age predisposes them to other medical
Other,
condition. And I can speak
definitely.
to that because my daughter has always been a big child all her life. And
Mm-hmm,
now the breathing issues, there are so many conditions she's predisposed
mm-hmm,
to it just
mm-hmm.
because as a child she has been carrying that weight. And people need to,
Yeah.
sit down and think about it because I remember one of my students, he saw the dermatologist, and the dermatologist said, first thing, you need to lose the weight. He said, Miss, the skin doctor tell me I need to lose the weight. And here am I saying the skin doctor tell you have to lose the weight until I went to her and she told me the same thing, and my daughter the same thing.
Yes,
Also,
yes,
I'm looking at it as a skin doctor. What does that have to do with you? But then it's entire comprehensive, and
yes.
some doctors will not tell you that. But
Mm-hmm,
she
mm-hmm.
felt the need to, start. And
Yes.
that is the reality.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
that's what we need to understand. The moment it is being said to us, what do we do?
Yes, yes,
We take our children from that journey because we are the ones preparing the meals for them.
yes,
We're the ones putting
definitely.
the things in their lunch bag.
Right,
So
right.
we have to take the stand as parents, and that's what we fail to realize because I'm seeing a lot of the early childhood centers, and I
Mm-hmm.
was speaking to some of the administrators, and they're saying that, they have that policy of don't bring junk food, don't give these, and some of the parents take it out from the original package, they put it in Ziploc bag, and they still put it in the child's bag.
Yes, the
So it's
prepackaged.
causing more harm than good because some of
Yes.
these foods are just not good for the children's health. And these are some of the contributing factors to the children being overweight.
Yes, yes,
There
definitely.
are fruits available, there are things that are available, and they're trying to, start that regime from young. But somewhere along the line, the parents and the homes are kind of breaking the trend.
Yes,
Because
yes,
where they say the children is eating the vegetables and thing in the school, but they don't want to eat it at home. And that's where it starts, especially for childhood obesity, because we give our children, things that are not healthy for them at home. We treat them to the KFC, all these fatty foods, the
yes,
pizza, and so on. And these are the things we really need to take into consideration. So childhood obesity is real in our schools, and I'm so glad you mentioned it.
yes,
I'm
yes,
really glad you mentioned it, and parents need to take action as it relates to that one.
yes, definitely. And just to empathize on the importance of diet. Diet plays emphasize, this is the word I want to get this morning here. So diet plays a huge role in obesity. All right. I mean, consuming high calorie, high sugar, high fatty foods, especially processed foods, high sugary drinks, it can lead to weight gain and obesity. I mean, yes, the moment you put in extra calories and you do not expend it, you take it out through physical activity and exercise, the result is going to be weight gain. So your input in terms of what you eat, what you take in, your calories, as long as it is more than what you expend, what you use, it's going to result eventually in overweight and obesity. All right. So the sugary drinks and so on, like I mentioned. So on the flip side, eating whole foods like your fruits, you mentioned that a while ago, vegetables, your lean protein, right? Your chicken and your fish, etc. The whole grains, the whole grain crackers, the whole grain breads, the oatmeal, the whole grain cereals. It can help manage weight and it can help support your overall health. All right. The other important thing is portion control.
Oh, yes.
Yes, how much are you putting on your plate? How much are you eating? And then if I were to pull, I think I have my plate there. Right now, the Ministry of Health, they've developed, sorry, that campaign, sorry, what we call the My Plate. And to make it very easy, they visualize it and to show you the portions that can be eaten, right? And any individual can really, subscribe to that kind of eating, whether you want to lose weight, you're diabetic, trying to control your portions. All right. So these flyers, we're trying to put them, disseminate the information. So when you eat in portions, that is going to help you. That is going to help us. We feel if the plate is not full, and full with what?
Meat,
Um, Meat, a lot of meat, a lot of carbohydrate foods like
our
provision
provision.
and rice and chow mein and ramen and macaroni and cheese and lasagna and all of the pies that contain a lot of fat, a lot of sodium, a lot of the unhealthy fat, saturated fat, etc. We don't need all of that. The body doesn't need all of this set of calories. So when we eat in portions, like I showed the plate,
So
ensuring.
explain the plate to us, Fadia.
Okay, so here we have this plate. You can
Uh-huh.
look at it as a 9-inch plate where you have half of the plate, this one side here, contains vegetables. And the vegetables, you have both, you have salads, so you have tomatoes, you have lettuce, I see some cucumbers there.
Mm-hmm.
some avocado, right? And I think there's some steamed vegetables as well. All right. So
So there
steamed
is both
vegetables,
raw and steamed veg on hand.
right? Raw and steamed, yes. Steamed vegetables and tossed salad. So the tossed salad would be the cucumbers, tomatoes, and the lettuce, right? And on the other side of the plate here, we have 3 to 4 slices of provisions or 2 pot spoons of rice or pasta, right? So that would be your carbs. Then we have 1 to 2 pot spoons of peas or your beans, right? You have this portion here as your plant protein. And then you have your animal protein, which contains 1 to 2 pieces of chicken or fish or turkey or meat. All right. And then they have choose the snacks wisely so you can have your fruits, your nuts, etc. All right. So we keep it simple. You do not have to complicate it. All right. So it's very, very straightforward, very, very simple.
Yeah. So that is one of the things we fail to do as persons when we eat our meal by eating half the plate with
Mm-hmm.
your vegetables and the correct portions. I think that's where some
Right.
of us do go wrong.
Hmm. Yes, so the portion control, like I said, so some key factors and some tips to help us lose weight, to control our weight, and to control the issue with obesity. So your portions, the amount of food you eat, also the quality of what you eat, like I mentioned, the whole grains, the you know the saturated fat to cut out and so on. The other things, like I said, you balancing your nutrients. That's important. When you speak about nutrition, you have to balance your nutrients. So it's not just one type of food, but you want to balance your macronutrients. So your proteins, your carbohydrates, your fat, especially your healthy fats, and your vitamins and minerals. So you want to have all of your nutrients in balance. Okay, so that is why we have what we call our 6 food groups. And out of the 6 food groups, you have foods that have similar nutrient profile that you can choose from. So that is why in the fruit group, you have variety of fruits. Vegetables, a variety. You have your staples like your ground provisions, your rice, and so on. You have variety. And that happens to all of the food groups. In your food from animals, you have a variety. In your peas and beans, legumes, you have variety. So you can choose from. All right. So that brings about balance to your diet. The other thing, like I said, you limit the processed foods, the packaged foods, the processed meats, those with the saturated fats, things like the salami and the cheese and what else? The canned foods, the packaged processed foods, the sugary foods. You cut that out of your diet gradually.
Like the ice cream and stuff.
Yes, well, that too, because it contains sugar, it contains milk, it contains fat. I'm not saying occasionally you can't have a little dessert, and how much you're having, the ice cream you made mention of, about a scoop, and that's it. You understand?
Who does that?
Small portion, yes. So we have to be able to control our portions, control how much we take in, you know.
And I tend to agree with you. And eventually you get accustomed
Eventually,
to
you
it.
get accustomed. Eventually, your stomach shrinks. So, there is no need for you to want that extra food. When you eat small and smaller portions, it shrinks your stomach, and you don't have the desire that you used to have for all these loads of food and all of that. So, the same way we can expand our stomach, we can also shrink our stomach so that we can eat just the amount that our body needs for us to function optimally.
So one of the things I've been reading on and guide me, I mean,
Mhm,
just to control the amount of food that I eat, is to
mhm.
drink a glass of water before breakfast, before lunch, and before dinner. Does that really help?
I would tend to agree that can help because what it does, like drinking the water, it sort of suppresses hunger. So when you take that glass of water, the tendency for you to eat extra may decrease, right? So if you drink your water before you eat, that in itself is going to suppress hunger. So I think it can work. It can be a little trick, a little tip that can help you. Yes. So keeping
Oh.
hydrated and especially before you eat, it can help. Yes. It tends to help.
So another thing you spoke about, when we speak about obesity, we spoke about the foods that are available. I know many people, when I go to the clinics, what they said, it is so expensive to buy the vegetables. I don't know how that happens in a small St. Lucia where everybody can do home gardening. But what I'm saying is, I mean, the cost of buying vegetables and then some of the things that they say to you as a health professional, they don't want to eat the vegetables because they do not know where it comes from. There are chemicals involved and all of these things they use excuses for. What do you have to say to these people, especially people that are overweight or people that have chronic conditions?
Yeah, that's a very important concern. That's a very important question. Um, let's deal with the cost factor first. I mean, I hear that all the time. However, um, I always encourage persons to they can use what is in season, right? Always try to use what you have, what is in season. And we don't have to go buying the expensive vegetables because, like I said, remember in all the food groups, there are varieties. So you go to the supermarket and you realize there's spinach that's there, maybe a bag of spinach for $5 or a bag of kale for $5 and so on. I mean, carrots is something that, I mean, these days is getting very expensive, but you can buy the smaller bag, so you choose, you don't have to buy the expensive ones. You can choose the low cost ones because also we have to try to eat healthy on a limited budget. So try to eat what is in season. Try to buy the low cost ones. That doesn't mean it has less nutrients from than the others. Um, you made mention of the backyard gardening as well. If it is that you can plant, if you eat the cucumber, put the seeds in a little pot, or the tomatoes, put it in a little pot. I see my neighbor planting tomatoes just just a little pot, and it's already bearing. So imagine that. So whatever seeds you have from the vegetables and the fruits, you can plant them, and you'll be surprised to see what you're going to produce. So I know it may be expensive, but like I said, try to choose the low cost ones. So if it is spinach that's in season or lettuce in at that time, you make use of it. All right. Some persons, I don't know if sometimes they may not want to, but the frozen vegetables, the cut up mix of vegetables can be used as well. I mean, it will not be fresh, but at least you're getting some nutrients from them. So try as much as possible. And if it is just one that you can get to eat for the day or two, that's fine. If it is the pumpkin, you can cut up in some food, some rice or something, or cut up the spinach, add it to the rice or add it to some potato, just to enhance the nutritional value of the food. But try to make the effort one step at a time. All right?
And
I hope
also,
I've answered the question. Oh, and the other part with the chemicals. So again, we want to go back to eating what we know. I mean, and not just the overseas and the imported foods or the vegetables or fruits that contain chemicals. Our very local do contain as well, because I can allude to that in the sense that you buy the vegetables and within 1 week you have to get rid of them because they've gone bad, and you can literally smell the chemicals in there. So I mean, we have to be mindful and be careful where we purchase, how we purchase, from who we purchase, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing, Fadi, and I tend to tell people that a lot. When certain things are in season, for example, let's say the pumpkin, and there is excess and it's very reasonable, you can always freeze it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
You can always freeze it when when it's not readily available, and
definitely.
when it becomes more expensive, because I mean, when there are very few things there produced, then the prices automatically go up. So, but when
Yes,
it's season and you buy excess and you freeze it once you have freezer space, so you can
definitely.
always get it for after even the fruits and
Yeah.
so on, even the
Mm-hmm,
spinach and all these fruits that we tend to throw away and so on. We can
definitely.
be creative,
Yes.
and learn to economize, because these
Yes.
things, instead of throwing them away, we can use them for later on. But it's how we
Yes.
preserve them that is more important.
Yes, yes. So that is another very, very, very valid, very important way we can preserve our food. So if you have extra spinach, you can always buy in batches. It's cheap. You can blanch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you pour the hot water over it and then you freeze it, so it can last. You know, if you have, like you said, the pumpkin or whatever other vegetables and fruits, you can package them nicely. You can put a date on it,
Label.
right? Put a label on it, so at least you will have an idea that is there for a month, for 2 months, etc. So what you would have put in before you use. So first in, first out kind of method. You use that. So all of that. These are ways that we have to begin to be creative and innovative, and we have to be able to sustain ourselves. And I try to say that every time I speak or address the public, because looking at everything on a global scale, what if we're not able to import foods? What do we do? And considering what is happening in the world today globally, the wars and all of that, that can impact our food systems. You know, if it is that we aren't able to import rice and sugar and flour, what do we do? So that is why now we have to begin to think of sustainability, sustaining our food systems, starting to grow our own food, starting to grow our own food in our little backyard. Whatever small space that we have, we make use of it. All right? So that is
Yes,
the way we have to start to think. Mm-hmm.
to combat obesity at least.
Definitely, at least. Yes, definitely. All
I
right.
tend I tend to agree with you, because I think sometimes we tend to look for excuses for us not to, go on doing the right thing. We
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge we have the problem. We acknowledge that we are obese, but what action do we take, or how do we strategize to combat the issue? A lot of
Mm-hmm.
us don't
Mm-hmm.
take time to do such, and the problem continues.
Yes, yes. And it impacts lives, it impacts our health, it impacts societies, it impacts, our children who are the future generation to come. So we have to think of it on a broader scale.
That is true. And again, our children tend to be
Well,
less
that's it.
active nowadays than before, because of, social media and the use of the internet. So
Mhm,
all of
mhm.
these are contributing factors
Definitely.
relates to obesity.
Definitely. Yes. Yes.
So go on,
So,
Nadia.
sorry.
I said go on. You were making a
Yes.
point.
So I wanted to look at the classes of obesity, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes what I find, I mean, when you do, I mean, you have to assess the patient in order for you to get that person, like categorize that individual, right? So obesity is primarily categorized using what we call the body mass index, or what we say BMI. all right, which divides into three main classes based on the measurements of weight in kilograms divided by the height in meters squared. So you have class 1 obesity, and that starts at, so if you do your body mass index and it is 30, between 30 and 34.9, you are categorized as class 1 obesity. If your BMI, your body mass index, is measured at between 35 to 39.9, you are categorized as class 2 obesity. And if it is 40 and over, that is class 3 obesity. Now that is what we call morbidly obese, meaning that weight is making you sick, that sort of thing. You are morbidly obese. Yeah. So you
I
have,
didn't know that.
sorry.
I said I did not know that.
Yes. And unless you do the assessment, you will not know, because I mean, some persons you may look at them and go, okay, that person is obese, but certain persons doing the measurements and getting the category, they might be surprised to know that their BMI is 30 and 40, etc. All right, so you need to do the measurements in order to be able to categorize the individual. Now, you have other key metrics. So, some persons we use waist circumference, and I know at the health centers they do it a lot. They do the patient's waist circumference. So that indicates what we call visceral fat. That is the fat that is embedded in an individual's abdomen. It cushions some of the vital organs. And we have the cardio metabolic risk, generally with higher risk. So for men, if their waist circumference is 102 or more, which is about 40 inches, and for women, if it is more than 88 centimeters or 45 inches, that is cause for concern. That is
Even after you had a child,
sorry.
even after you've had a child or two as a woman, I know that's an excuse that I use.
Yes, that's there. You have to get back to your pre-pregnant weight.
Eh,
Yes, yes. Hmm.
So for the men, it's how many inches?
So for the men, it is what did I say? 102 centimeters or 40 inches. For the women, it's 88 centimeters or 35 inches. So if that you do your measurement and it's more than that, you have to, that's a cause for concern, because large girth or your large waist circumference, there is a connection between that and heart disease. The
So
moment you have a
many
large
men have
girth.
such big belly.
Mm-hmm,
That-
mm-hmm. So
And they're
that's
looking hard, boy. So
mm-hmm.
what does that say? They really have to work on that?
Yes, they have to work on it. And it is possible, it is doable, one step at a time, dealing with, lifestyle changes. Some of them tend to drink a lot of alcohol. So that is an area they may want to start with to cut down on alcohol use. Get into an exercise regime, and by simply walking, get into, some lifestyle changes, step by step by step by step, changing the diet, getting an assessment of your diet and what it is that you need to change, how much you're eating, the quality of your food. Sleep is also another important factor that people don't recognize. Sleep, lack of sleep can be associated with weight gain, because whilst you sleep, some of the hormones that regulate your appetite, regulate other hormones related to weight happens when we sleep. And if you're not sleeping, that can impact your weight. So there are a lot of factors, genetic factors as well. There's so many other roots that are associated with obesity. So the men with the bear bellies, they call them,
Yes.
work on that. Hmm.
Even our young men too have that.
Yes, yes. So that can the risk factors for so many other conditions: high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, cancers. Yes, and we've seen the research where obesity is linked to cancers, right? Yes, so we have to work on that. We have to keep working on it. Yes,
That is so true. I mean,
yes.
I'm
So,
you see a man, you see him with his big belly, but you don't see. I don't see. I did not really. Well, many people might not even see the link.
mhm,
You might not even see the link to that. I mean, that's yes, I know, but is that something that really clicks and say, okay, I really need to work on my belly because you understand?
mhm,
You
mhm,
just figure, okay, you have a big belly, you have the weight, but you will never put the two and two together and say, well, okay, because of that big belly, it predisposes me to heart conditions. It predisposes
mhm,
for the
mhm.
condition.
Yeah, there's the link between the large girth and heart disease. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
happy you mentioned that.
Yes. And the
Yes.
other thing I want to highlight is we would have mentioned the category of obesity for adults. I also want to also highlight for children. So childhood obesity is categorized using the age and sex specific percentile growth charts, right? So for the children, it is different. Yeah, they have their growth charts that have been designed by by CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We have the different cards. So they have the children have their child health passport or their child health card that has the different graphs that are plotted, right? So it is age specific and it is gender or sex specific, male, female. So that is what is used to categorize and it falls into percentiles. All right, different percentiles that put them at healthy weight, underweight, healthy weight, overweight, obese, etc. Okay, so the children is slightly different from the adults.
I'm really glad you said
So,
that.
yes. So for clinical assessment, you find that nutritionists, the doctors, they may use a combination of the body mass index. They can use the waist circumference, um, and the risk factor analysis to determine the severity and the necessary interventions for persons, right? So yes, so these persons they can come into the clinics. I mean, we may not have a nutritionist or nutrition officer all the time, but then within your region, your closest health center, you can always go and find out whether a nutritionist is in or a nutrition officer to be able to get some guidance, some assessment. We have a scale that actually helps to give some, some metrics in terms of the body mass index, the fat on the inside, the visceral fat that I made mention of, your total body fat, your muscle mass. So we can start from there with you, doing an assessment and telling you where you're at and what we can do to start your weight loss journey. All right.
So a gentleman asked a question. How do you rate our young people's health? That's a very broad question. I do not know. How do you rate our young people's health? Maybe you can speak
How
as
to rate our young people's health.
mm, to me it's a
Okay,
very
yes, like you said, yeah, this is a very broad question. And assessing health is dependent on many, many factors. You understand? So you have to look at various factors. The young people's health. I mean, based on observations from my experience, I mean, I can see, the majority of our young people, they would tend to eat a lot of fast foods, fatty foods, a lot of sodas, drink a lot of sodas, and so on. Yeah, so How do you rate that? I mean, there has to have various assessment in order to be able to rate somebody's health. I cannot sit there and say it's not good or it's unhealthy, or so it's based on assessments. Then you will be able to make a determination
What
as to
means?
what if the person has any medical issue and that kind of thing. So, but generally, like I said, based on observations, you recognize, that the young people tend to consume more fast foods, fast fried food. Some of them don't even know how our local provisions taste because they are so used to the other fast foods, the other convenience foods. All right. So, yeah, so I cannot assess their health, but the behavior in terms of their eating habits based on observation, I can say that, they would tend to go for more the fast foods, the sodas, etc. All
Yeah.
right.
Even the substances
The
like
substances,
alcohol, they
the
tend to be
alcohol,
quite
yes,
substance.
yes.
And
Uh-huh.
that really puts them in some really serious problems as it relates to
Yes, yes.
this.
We know that some our young people, and based on is it the step survey that was done? There's a survey that was done that assessed the alcohol consumption and smoking.
I know
And
there was the global tobacco survey
well,
last
right,
year.
yes, yes, yes. So I don't think our figures were looking good for St. Lucia, yes. And even as you alluded to earlier, even the sedentary lifestyle where they spend a lot of time on social media. So that is becoming, that is making them sedentary, less active, and that is a dangerous thing when we are not active, we are not physically active, we do not exercise, so that can impact our health, not just young people. And we know, I mean, a lot of the young people, they spend a lot of time on social media, seated and that kind of thing, so that encourages a sedentary lifestyle too. All right.
Very much so. They no longer participate in sports like they used.
Yes, hardly, yes,
And
hardly.
another thing I find that really contributes to a lot of children being overweight is that there's so much in their books all the time that they become antisocial. They go out to play. They
Well,
don't
that.
go, they don't have time. Even in the schools,
Mhm.
break time, lunchtime, the children are in their books because of the pressures that relates to academics.
Yes,
So that's
yes.
some of the things that you find. So
Hmm,
life
hmm.
needs us sometimes, and that's where time management comes into play.
Yeah, time management, and we have to strike a balance. Yes,
Very
we
much.
have to strike a balance as well. Yes. So in as much as the academics are important, the physical activity is also important as well. So we need to strike that balance.
So you see where the issues lies, like as it relates to obesity, it's just not gaining the weight, but it's our
Hmm.
everyday actions that
Mhm.
lead to that.
Yes, yes,
So
yes. And I always tell people, is the daily habits. You examine your daily habits. What do you do every single day? When you wake up in the morning, what is it that you're eating? What is it that you're having? What it is you can change? And I always tell people, sometimes we speak about it being expensive, expensive. But like that gentleman I met on the weekend, he said things he cut out, and some of the things he cut out, they were expensive things, you understand? And some of them were not expensive, cutting out sugar, cutting out salt or sodium. And he was like, I cut out salt totally. I said, no, you still need a little sodium in your diet. So you can still add a little bit. You can still add. So he was determined to cut it out totally. I don't eat late in the night anymore. And a lot of us, that's a bad habit. That's an unhealthy habit. Eating late at night and going to sleep. Our bodies were not designed to eat in the night, to eat late in the night. Our bodies were designed to sleep, to rest, to rejuvenate. But when we eat late in the night and we go and sleep, whilst we're supposed to be resting and sleeping, our bodies now must digest that food. So it is working all the time. So you now have to tell yourself, what I need a cutoff point where I need to rest my stomach, if it is 4 hours or 2 hours before I go and sleep. and don't eat anything. So you see the habits. We have to work on our habits,
So
our everyday habits.
at night, Swadia, what do you mean? Before 7 p.m. or
It's
before
it's up to the individual. What time do you go to bed? What time do you retire at night? So if you
8
want,
o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock person?
if you're an 8 o'clock person, you go and
Yeah.
sleep at 8 o'clock.
Yes. So
Well,
I'm an 8 o'clock person, so I'm supposed to eat
so
at least
yeah, 2 to 4 hours before that, you should not be eating anything.
a lot of mercy.
Yes.
So if
So
I feel hungry, I should be drinking water.
just sip some water, sip some light tea, sip, something very light, maybe a
Until
little handful
without
of
sugar,
nuts
that
or
is.
fruits, very light. Hmm?
Until without sugar, that is.
Yeah, unsweetened. Yeah, no sugar added because sugar is calories. You'd be adding calories to the tea. So
So,
yeah.
so I'm sure some persons that are actually watching are actually seeing my facial expression when Fadia says that. So, as a health professional, if my facial expression says that, I'm sure many people would be like the same.
Louisa, is not as difficult as you think it is. You see,
I
when you
know.
begin to cut down sugar, you don't want sugar in your diet. I'm telling you that in terms of added sugars, like adding sugar to the tea and juice. After a while, your body gets used to that. You get
I know
used to
because
it.
I started the journey, and although it has been quite challenging,
Mm.
but it's a gradual process. And
It's a
sometimes I
gradual
don't want to
process.
go back because you raise up as a child having sugar in your tea. There is no way you can cut down the sugar right away.
Yeah,
I
it's a
go back, but
gradual
there are times
process.
yeah, but there are times I do it, and
Hmm.
then I'm saying, oh my God, that's thing like medicine. But then I figure it's for my own health, and eventually,
Exactly.
even
Exactly.
coffee, I drink coffee without sugar.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I get accustomed because it brings out the flavor more without the sugar.
Yes, when you do not add sugar to your teas, it brings out the flavor. You get the taste of the peppermint or
Mhm.
the ginger or the cinnamon. Oh, don't talk about cinnamon. You see, these sweet spices, there is absolutely no need to add sugar because cinnamon is sweet. Sweet spices.
Really?
Yes, you've ever chewed on a cinnamon stick? It's sweet. It's
Oh,
a
well,
sweet spice.
apparently the part of my tongue that actually senses the sweetness when the tea is drunk without sugar is not activated around that time. So I'll have to make sure I really
I challenge
program
you to
my
try it.
brain.
I challenge you to bite
Yes.
a cinnamon stick. Yeah, it's sweet when you put it in maybe the tea. Just chew on it. It's very sweet. Yes. So.
I'm really glad we're saying this because the reason why I'm having that conversation is because that's the reality of us out there.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
these are what we go through, and I don't want people to think that we're only coming here speaking about what you should do, and we ourselves are not faced with challenges. We are,
mhm,
and these
mhm,
are what
mhm.
we want persons to understand. It is
Yes.
for your own good, your own benefit, for your own
Mhm,
health, for your
mhm.
family's health.
Yes.
Another thing people need to understand is when you obese and you predispose yourself to medical condition, the financial aspect of
Mhm,
spending the money,
mhm,
that
mhm,
is a
mhm.
big issue.
Yes.
You need
Yes.
to understand, yes, you're saying certain things are expensive now, but
Mhm,
medical expense outweighs the price of the vegetables
mhm, mhm, mhm.
you're spending yourself on. And people
Yes.
need to
Yes.
start understanding these things. So then
Mhm.
prevention goes a very, very long way. And
Definitely.
I'm saying that just for people to understand that you
Mhm,
can do
mhm.
it. And Fadia,
Yes.
you talk about the services at all our wellness centers are offering that service.
Yes.
When if
Yes.
nutritionist or the field of the nutrition officer is not available, you can always speak to the nurse and the nurse can set the appointments for them.
Appointment. Yes. Set the appointment. Yes. So yes, so I mean, it might not be easy as we're seated at our end saying it, but then it comes with, like you said, a gradual process. Every day we set small goals for ourselves, and sometimes we might just need to drink more water. We might just need to add a little, more water to our diet, and find little ways to be able to cut down on the excess calories. Sometimes we might not necessarily be hungry. We might just need some more water, keep hydrated. All right? Add a little more fruit, maybe an extra fruit to our diet. Cut back on the sugar, right? Um, Include our healthy nuts like the seeds, the chia seeds and the flax seeds, a little handful of nuts as snacks into our diet, right? Control our portions. Every day we cut down on how much we're eating. And I have noticed that cutting down on the amount of food, the portions, it actually saves us. So all the excess meat and excess food, that actually saves us, saves the family, right? Everybody eats one piece of meat. You don't have to eat three and four and five. So all of that actually saves you and I. All right. So I just want to encourage us that yes, diet it strongly influences obesity, but it is about patterns over time, because the weight we would have gained did not come last night. It did not come, it came over time. So it's going to take some time to to gradually reduce. All right, so it's a journey, and we have to be patient with ourselves as we go on that journey. All right, so it's not one single meal that is going to do it for us, or one single exercise time slot. No. So it's small, consistent, healthy choices combined with the physical activity, supportive environments will make the biggest difference. All right? So this is what I want to leave with us today. Let us do the small steps, because being sick is not a nice thing, and we have to get it in our minds that just being overweight and obese is a condition. It's an illness. All right, and it can predispose us to other illnesses.
Thank you so very much, Fadia. I think you said everything we need to say out there for our general public in a nutshell. I think the discussion was very fruitful, and I hope persons understand. I mean, we just don't acknowledge obesity um, just during this month. I mean, it's throughout the year we have been speaking about it, and we have been advocating for a healthier lifestyle. And I'm so glad you came on the program again. Thank you so very much, and I hope you continue doing the good work that you are doing, as well as the other nutrition officers from your unit. I must
Yes.
say, you have been very instrumental to some persons that I have recommended, and I, I am very grateful and thankful. One
Mm-hmm.
of the things sometimes you have to say is to give people praises when they are alive, and sometimes, we as health professionals tend not to, praise or give persons the compliments that they have, like you know, they have worked for. And, I am happy that you could have been on the program with me. And that's one thing I must admit. I can call you at any time and you make yourself available for the program, which I am so very grateful. Coming out there, bringing the message across to our region, especially the Soufre countries and Choiseul region. I mean, sometimes, you see the people out there, you see the children, and you really want something to be done, but again, there are factors out there
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes that hinders the process. And being on the radio program is a medium to get that information out there to
Definitely.
our people. And I'm so happy that you could have done that with us today. And thank you. I do not know how much I can say thank you. And thank you for your level of expertise too. I must
Welcome.
admit, your level of expertise goes a long way in understanding, the topic of nutrition. And not only that, as it relates to obesity, but when persons have chronic conditions, how well, a lot of people see a nutritionist and they look at, oh, I'm overweight, I need to see the nutritionist. But sometimes when you have certain conditions,
Mm-hmm.
you know it you need to liaise with your nutritionist, and these are some of the things that people can really attend to. I
Mm-hmm.
have that medical condition. Maybe I need to see the nutritionist to help me, to guide me control that medical condition. And you play a very vital role in that part. And I just want to say, continue doing the good work.
Thank
um,
you.
Continue providing the information. I know that's your passion, and I hope. I know you work wonders in people's lives. Just continue the good work, and again, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Yes. So we
thank
just want a healthier, happier St. Lucia. That's it. And
you
if
very much.
people, people by now would see that the nomenclature in the Ministry of Health, Wellness,
Yes,
and Nutrition.
nutrition.
So our Prime Minister and the government, they are very serious about the health of St. Lucians. Okay,
That
so we
is
just
so
want,
true.
yeah, a healthier, happier St. Lucia.
So
So
Yolanda
God
will
bless
be
all of you
right.
and take care.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
too. Yes.
Yes. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Likewise, thank you. I
You're
just want to say
welcome.
also thank you to all our listeners out there, and to our Conries, Chozel, and Suffrarians, and persons listening online or persons going back and listening to the show on YouTube. Thank you so very much for your support. If you have any feedback, any queries, feel free to drop your comments online, or when you meet me or Miss Minville in town, feel free to stop and give your comments. We're always open. Again, thank you, Romanus and Cabrina, for assisting me. So do have a wonderful day, everybody, and do take care. I know it's a rainy day today in our region. I'm not sure for Beaufort, Fadia. Is it raining?
No,
No?
Beaufort is dry. Beaufort is dry.
All right
Yes.
then. Well, do enjoy the sunny day out there.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, bye
You
bye.
take care. Bye bye for now.